everyone. My name is Sonya Wong, and I am a CPA based in South Orange County. Most of my work has been in commercial real estate, and I am one of the founding members of QX Financial, which is a company that helps our clients with their financial planning services. So we offer comprehensive planning services. And here with me today is Phil Shekerlian. Uh,
Good
Welcome,
afternoon,
Phil.
Sonia. How you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
Good. Thanks for having me back again.
Yeah, you're one of our favorite estate attorneys.
Excellent.
So, yeah, we are both uh, reviewing the second part, or we're going to discuss the second part or part B of estate planning. So, uh, I think we're going to touch on homesteading today.
Yeah, so in our previous videos we've discussed the ways to protect your assets using businesses and irrevocable trusts. There are other ways, there's several other ways to protect your assets other than businesses or irrevocable trusts. And the first one, and probably one of the most common ones that people have heard of, is homesteading. And so homesteading is essentially where if you paid money into equity into your home, that money is an asset of yours. And if you were to be sued by a creditor, the creditor could attach to that equity that you have in your home. Now, they may or may not be able to force a foreclosure depending on the situation and the creditor, but most of the time they won't be able to force a foreclosure. And what they would instead do is put a lien on your home so that when you sold the home, they would get their money that they're owed, whether it's under a court judgment or otherwise, at the time of the sale from escrow before you get any of your money. Well, if you have a creditor attached to your home and you sell your home and that creditor takes all of the equity that you have in your home, it can be really difficult to get you a replacement home. Well, the goal of the homesteading law is to make sure that no matter how much debt people are in, they still have a place to live. They're not trying, the state wants to protect people from being thrown out onto the street. So what the homestead law used to be, up until I think it was last year that this new law passed, but up until last year, that you could protect up to $75,000 of equity in your home. Well, here in California, that's absolutely nothing. $75,000 is sometimes not even a valid down payment on a home.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous here. And this law is pretty old and it hasn't been updated. Well, like I said, I believe it was last year they finally updated this law, and you can now homestead quite a bit more. So before I go into the actual details, I just want to make sure that everybody understands this applies to your home. So so if you have real estate and it's not the real estate that you live in, then you cannot homestead that. So a vacation home doesn't work, a rental income property doesn't work, etc. However, this law does go a little bit further than just real estate. It goes to your home. So this could be if you live on a boat, or if you live in an RV, some type of cooperative, condo, apartment, anything. It doesn't have to be a house, piece of real estate in and of itself. It's wherever you live, you can protect up to $75,000 under the old law. You could potentially, under the old law, add an extra $25,000 to that 75, to the 75 for a total of 100 for family members living with you. You didn't get a second deduction for being married, so if it wasn't 75 for you and 75 for your spouse, it was 75 total plus the 25 for one extra. The homestead itself was automatic. You automatically got the $75,000 whether you filed any paperwork or not. The difference, but you had an option to file and declare it with the county, with your county recorder. The difference was if you did not declare it and you voluntarily sell your home, you would lose your exemption. If you were forced to sell your home, you would keep the exemption. But if you declared your homestead exemption and you voluntarily sold the home, you would still keep that $75,000 or $100,000, depending on which it is. The new law leaves all of that in place, but it just changes the numbers. Mm-hmm. So what the new law says is it's more based on a formula now rather than a set amount. So the floor, the minimum is $300,000 exemption, which is starting to get a lot more reasonable here in California.
Yeah, it is.
But it's still not there, but it's a lot more
Yeah.
reasonable. Now, there is a formula that's used, and essentially the formula says they take the county that your homestead is located in, and they take the median price for that county for a single family home, and either that existing calendar year or the prior calendar year, and then you can use that, and then that can provide an exemption amount for up to $600,000 and no more. So, for instance, if I have a $500,000 home, well, let's actually do the opposite. If I have an $800,000 home, I at least have the $300,000 exemption. But if the median home price in my county is 700,000, then I have the 600,000 exemption because that's the cap, not the 700,000. If the
Okay.
median price in the county was 500,000, I would only have a $500,000 deduct or homestead to protect. And it's unclear at this time because it's a new law whether or not there's filing requirements for this new homestead exemption amount. My guess is it's going to be similar to before, where it is automatic, and if you voluntarily sell, then you lose it, or you can declare it with the county by filing it, and if you voluntarily sell, then you can keep that exemption. But it hasn't been outlined in the final regs yet.
Okay. And what can people do to stay abreast of these changes?
Um, you know, Google search would work, probably work pretty well if you type in California homestead exemption, and then probably the words final regulations or final regs,
Okay.
REGS. You should be able to find that information out. It really doesn't hurt to file it. You don't lose anything by doing so. It's not horribly expensive. There's some recording fees involved with it, and if you do it on your own, that's all you have to pay. We help people file those, and we only charge a couple $100 to do so.
Yeah. And have you had to help anyone, I guess, who's dealt with this issue? I mean, like in
I haven't.
extreme cases?
I don't do any litigation, so I haven't helped out with the backside of this. But like I said, I have filed homestead exemptions for many clients in the past.
Okay, that's good to know
Yeah,
because most people don't know to do this.
absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another way to protect your assets. Now we have businesses, irrevocable trusts, and for your home, the homestead exemption. Um, One of the other ways, which you guys are very familiar with, is insurance. Insurance is a great tool to protect a lot of things. Um, you can get, a homeowner's policy that'll protect your house from, water leaks and things along those lines, mold, all that type of stuff. Natural disasters, just depends on what your policy says. But you could also get something called a general liability policy, or sometimes it's referred to as an umbrella policy. That would help you in the event that you were sued personally. Before anybody can come take your assets, this insurance policy would step in and pay out any claims up to the amount of your insurance. So, for instance, most people typically get about $1 million of general liability insurance. It typically costs a few $100s a year, $300 to $600 a year, depending on your personal situation. And then if that person were to be sued for anywhere up to $1 million, they would never pay a penny out of their pocket. If the lawsuit is for more than $1 million, and the person suing wins that lawsuit and the judgment's for more than $1 million, then the insurance would pay out the $1 million and you would be responsible for the rest. And if you don't have that, that's when they can start attaching to your assets. So, if you think that $1 million is not enough, you can go higher than that. For the most part, most damages that are going to occur, if there is not substantial bodily injury or death that is involved, $1 million is more than enough. Obviously, if you're talking about a death or substantial bodily injury, $1 million is probably not going to be nearly enough. So, it's really something you should discuss with like myself, like your estate and asset protection advisor, and also your insurance agent. Have like a 3-way call or meeting or whatever the case may be, and figure out what's best for you. Determine what liabilities are out there and what potential lawsuits you may face. And then from that, you can determine what the best amount of the policy is. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, in this day and age, I don't know how anyone can get by without consulting an estate attorney just like you, or having an accountant or an insurance agent.
absolutely. I mean, it really, I think we've said this in the past, it really takes a team.
Yep.
Whether you are, the top, couple percentage of wealth, or you are middle class, you really need to have a good team of, the CPA, financial advisor, and estate and asset protection attorney as well. Um, and because there's things that I do there's things that I do that you guys don't know. There's things that a CPA does that I don't know, and same with the financial advisor that I don't know as well, and so you need all those inputs, and not to mention, even if we did know all of the same stuff, sometimes people think differently, and it's really
Yes,
good to have a think tank bouncing ideas off of each other.
I agree. I think this is something that even do-it-yourselfers really should keep in mind because they could
Absolutely.
really get themselves into a world of hurt.
Absolutely, and it doesn't hurt to have an initial consultation, just to see what these professionals could do for you. So the insurance component is, it's really good for some people because it's simple. You know, the homestead exemption is a little more complicated. You do have to file some paperwork. Other than that, it's relatively simple. Setting up a business or an irrevocable trust can be quite difficult, for some people. For others, it's relatively easy. But going out and buying an insurance policy is extremely easy to do. You just have to pay that yearly fee. So that's the downside. Um, Another thing to worry about with the insurance is the limitations. You really have to have an attorney look through any insurance policy you buy, whether it's car insurance, general umbrella, home insurance, anything, because there are so many exclusions in a lot of those policies that you don't even know what you have covered and what you don't. So it's really recommended to have an expert look at that so that you can bring to the table, hey, this is excluded in my policy. I want you guys to add that in and let me know how much more it's going to cost.
Wow, I'm so glad you brought all these up because most people wouldn't even know to do this.
Absolutely.
So so I really want to give you a big thank you, Phil, for sharing what you know with us. And I'm sure there's plenty more. There's a treasure trove of more information that we'll be discussing in the next video.
Absolutely. I look forward to talking with you guys in the next video. And as always, reach out to myself or Sonya at QX Financial,
Mhm.
and we'd be happy to give you guys free consultations on any questions that you may have.
Thank you, everyone.